Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Head, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. I got a lot of news in this video, so it's not too much commentary. But one thing I will say is that I mentioned this on Thursday after my live stream that the Mets are going to call up Tidwell to pitch on Saturday. But no, he's going to pitch on Sunday. It's not official, but it's official. You know what I mean? They were talking about it on SNY a while ago. But he's going to pitch on Sunday, and this is from MLB.com. Mets to call up number 15 prospect Tidwell to pitch Sunday. And again, you want to follow this channel because I'll be ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game when it comes to a lot of stuff. I saw this online, and I don't think anyone else talked about it. As far as I know, I don't watch anybody else, but Tidwell, the Mets' second-round draft pick in 2022, and their number 15 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, is about to make his MLB debut. Mets plan to call up Tidwell to pitch Sunday against the Cardinals, a source told MLB.com. As part of the team's plan to give other starters an extra day of rest, the team has not confirmed the move. The reason Mets do this, or they're doing this, give these guys extra rest, is one, give Kodai Senga the chance to pitch once a week, because he did that in Japan, and they want to cut down on the workload of Clay Holmes in particular. That's what the Mets are trying to do. Tidwell's 23, holds a 5 ERA over 27 innings at AAA Syracuse, but he has struck out 18 batters and walked just one over his last 2 starts. A hard thrower, Tidwell is at his best when he's able to command his mid to upper 90s fastball within the strike zone. Tidwell, who has tried to scale back his 7-pitch mix, is perhaps best known for throwing an immaculate inning during spring training. And I would mention this is the 1-year anniversary of Christian Scott pitching in his Major League debut last year against the Tampa Bay Rays. Last year, the right-hander produced a 2.41 ERA over 7 innings at AA Binghamton before scuffling a bit in his first taste of AAA. Now, we're starting to see that still with the Mets prospects. Again, the AAA, and they're struggling. Brandon Spoot's another guy who has been very inconsistent in AAA. So, I mean, we'll see if he's here. I don't know. Right now, it doesn't look too good right now. But he'll find it because he's got a good arm. And everybody has a lot of faith in how the Mets have been doing a good job with the pitching lab. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, I got an interesting story that came out, I guess, from Chicago about this trade, this Javi Baez trade the Mets made about 4 years ago. At the deadline, and this involves Mark Vientos. Let me read you the headline from SI. Let's discuss Mark Vientos with Cubs for 2021 Pete Crow Armstrong trade. Cubs reportedly discussed 2 other names in the Mets before trading Baez to Queens for Pete Crow Armstrong. Let's say one of the New York Mets' splashiest trade deadline deals this decade could have looked much different. On Thursday, the Munchkin Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic published a feature story on Chicago Cubs outfielder Pete Crow Armstrong, who the Mets drafted 19th overall in 2020. Injuries limited him to just 24 bats with the Mets single-A affiliate before he was traded in the July 2021 deadline for Javi Baez, who played only 47 games in Queens before departing in free agency that winter. Now, Baez, I would mention, he has played terribly for the Tigers. Can't hit way out of a paper bag. 4 seasons later, the now 23-year-old Crow Armstrong has emerged as one of the breakout stars of the 2025 season. Not only does the speedy lefty hitter have an .813 OPS through his first 32 games, but he also played electrifying defense, leading all center fielders with 6 defensive runs saved, and all of MLB with plus 7 outs above average. Now, I would mention, his reputation in the draft that year was to be probably the best outfielder and best defender of that draft. I, as your host, was not a big proponent of them drafting him because the word was that he was like a Mark Kotsay type that couldn't hit. Just keep that in mind. That's what I heard. Had the Mets accepted the original trade offer for Baez, that breakout season might be unfolding in Queens alongside corner outfielders Brandon Nimmo and Juan Soto. According to the Munchkin, Cubs president of baseball operations Jed Hoyer initially asked for right-handed pitching prospect Matt Allen in return. However, the Mets reporter responded that Allen was untouchable, as they viewed him as a future top of the rotation starter at the time. Now, he has not pitched since 2019. Hasn't pitched at all, but now he's starting to get back on the mound and pitch effectively. The report also states the Mets and Cubs discussed infielder Mark Vientos. Now the Mets starting third baseman before ultimately agreeing on Crow Armstrong instead. As the 2021 deadline approached, both prospects sensed they were involved in trade talks and made a pact to call each other if either got moved. But Crow Armstrong told the Munchkin that the pact was more so focused on Vientos, as most people thought he would be the one traded. Ultimately, the Cubs reportedly felt Crow Armstrong's defense and base running made him a more appealing prospect than Vientos. According to the Munchkin, the two sides remained at a stalemate until the Cubs included right-hander Trevor Williams in cash to cover part of Baez's remaining salary, prompting the Mets to finally agree to part with Crow Armstrong. Now a couple of things. The Mets have not made any deals over the last 4 years involving any prospects. I did not take issue with them moving him because, like I said, his reputation coming out of the draft was that he wasn't a very good hitter, that he needed a lot of work, that defensively, the base running is fine, defensively he's fine, he's great, but the offense is something you got to keep an eye on now. And he did not get off to a roaring start last year when he got to the majors, by the way. So, whatever. But the Mets, in the past 4 years, they've not traded anybody from their farm system. They haven't traded anybody. You know, you make trades, you never know. And Baez, the time that he spent here, wasn't a great time because he didn't take well to being in here. He was a bad influence in that clubhouse, bad influence on Francisco Lindor, and it just didn't work out, quite frankly. And finally in this video, let's talk about some rumors. Not stuff that's from the past, but stuff that could be in the future. Let me read you this article again from SI.com. I know the Mets have a bit of an issue with the bullpen. You know, they lost two of their lefties that they came up to up north in the last week. They lost both of them. AJ Minter, he's out. Danny Young, he's out. So both guys are going to be out for the season. So the Mets are going to have to start looking for some help in that bullpen. And the bullpen's been pretty good, but they've taken some water this past week. 4 of their last losses they've had have been from the bullpen. The bullpen's killed them. 3 of the 4 losses have come out of the bullpen, and the bullpen's killed them late in the game. Particularly Ryan Stanek. But again, here's the headline. New York Mets could target this pair of AL relievers. New York Mets could benefit from one AL team falling out of contention. Mets need bullpen help, and this club has it. Now, here's the thing. The Baltimore Orioles are being run into the ground by their general manager. Okay? He did not anticipate any injuries with his pitching staff there. He didn't bring any veteran help for that young ball club. I expect that guy to get fired. He's not a guy that was hired by the new ownership group. He was a guy that was hired by the Angelos family. I don't know why he did not do the work that he needed to do this past offseason. And that's a team that needs a lot of help, just in terms of the clubhouse part, the chemistry part, and obviously with the pitching. And I expect him to get fired. People are very upset about what's going on down there in Baltimore because that situation looked like it was on the upswing. And your host predicted that they go to the World Series last year, and they basically fell on their face. But the article says the New York Mets are in desperate need of left-handed help in their bullpen after A.J. Minter and Danny Young went down with injuries that could knock them out for the rest of the season. They're out. The Mets did just re-sign Brooks Raley, who's making his way back from Tommy John surgery, and called up Genesis Cabrera. I don't trust that guy. However, it remains to be seen whether New York can count on those two veterans, and they're said to be seeking outside trade help, according to little Andy Martino of SNY. Interesting. For now, the market for lefty relief pitching appears to be razor thin. That being said, MLB insider and, of course, Scott Boras whisperer John Hammond of the New York Post suggested Baltimore Orioles southpaw bullpen arms Gregory Soto and Keegan Aiken It's two names that make sense for the Mets as fits, but this will depend on whether the 12 and 18 Orioles can turn around this season or not. Still plenty of time until the July trade deadline. Absolutely. And we've not hit the 40-game mark for any of the teams, and that should not be forgotten. So, Soto has a 4.76 ERA. He'll be a free agent after this year, so maybe the price won't be so high on him. Aiken has a 3 ERA. And he's got another year of control. So, but the Mets are going to go internally with the bullpen right now. They're going to run these guys out, and then they'll try to do what they did last year, is make small deals, trying to make moves, but they don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, not to spend a lot in terms of prospects. They'll just go and try to make moves that make sense for them in terms of trading for a pitcher that might get DFA'd or forgot it's languishing in the minor leagues. But before they do that, I think in all likelihood they'll go with what they have in the minor leagues, or just bring in a right-hander that can get both lefties and righties out. They have talked about that openly, so we'll see how that comes about. Well, let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.